And we're live. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Good, good. So I'm here live with our main managing attorney, the big kahuna of JBPC. How are you, Mr. Hussein?
I'm doing well. Still surviving this August heat, but hopefully it all work out.
Well, I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. It
Yeah,
seems to
yeah.
be,
But you know
right?
what? I'm waiting for September, October to come in, and that's gonna launch us directly into the election season. So we can talk
Exactly.
about that because that is
And,
having big
and,
impact.
and I think we're gonna talk about that, which is you and I. We are political geeks. This is a passion of
We
us,
are,
right?
we are. I've been watching the convention, and I think the Republican convention is gonna start next week.
Yes.
But the good thing here is for our viewers, I think one of the major things to think about is what's going to be different when and if Joseph Biden wins. So one thing I would urge a lot of and I know you have already done that, and I've done it. A lot of our viewers to go on his website because he has a whole immigration plan, what he intends to do.
Yeah.
But the good thing here is he's planning to do a lot of those things within the first 100 days. That means the minute he gets on there in January as the next president, if he is elected, uh, one of the things that he talked about is making sure that we get DACA back. Also provides support for TPS, and a lot of those things would be crucial because at this point, as we all know, where we are at with DACA. But while we are going there, I think because we're in the election season, one of the things we have to be really cautious, and we always like to warn our clients about this, is you will get a lot of emails, you'll get a lot of calls, you'll get a lot of solicitation, come, go, vote, do
Yeah.
whatever it is. If you're a US citizen, absolutely. Absolutely. Get your voter registration card if you have not done that yet. Vote if you're not able to vote in person, and if you have a good excuse, you can do mail-in voting, no matter what you're hearing. Early voting, all of those things are on the table. Go vote.
Perfect. Perfect.
But if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're a green card holder, if you're a DACA, if you have TPS, and somebody comes and say, "Hey, just fill this out, register to vote, do this," no, no, don't do that. Because look, a lot of things Haim and I can help you with, but the minute you register to vote or you actually vote, even if you're a green card holder, you've been here for 20 years, somebody connived you into signing something, somebody told you, yeah, you can do it, just do it. Don't. You're not going to be able to erase that. That's really, really difficult to do. So
So
if you're a
that's
U.S. citizen, do it. Go ahead,
that's
Haim.
that's the first piece of advice that we're giving everybody today. Now, Hussein, before we start, I want to set the rules today because we're going to talk about a lot of different things. And
Right.
what is important is that for everybody who's watching this show to please like, share, comment on this video. We do a lot of Spanish speaking videos. This one is an English video, but that doesn't mean that you cannot ask us questions in Spanish. You can
Mhm.
ask a question in Spanish. I will translate the question. We will get through the point. But if you're watching this video, we're trying to assist all the community. And we know that in the immigrant community, we have people from many, many different areas. And we
Right.
also have people in the Hispanic community who've been here for a long time that their language of preference might be English. So we are trying to assist all members of the community. And the goal is that we're going to go through a lot of topics. But before, please like the video, put a heart, like what Abogado Jaime, it says, please put us a heart there, click on it, do a like, put a comment and share. And as always, we love to hear where you're watching us from. If
Right.
the Dallas Fort Worth area or the DMV, the Maryland, Silver Springs, Virginia, Baltimore area, Washington, D.C., or if it's anywhere in Texas, you never know. We might be going one of these days to a seminar in your area, so it's always good. Now,
Right.
Hussein,
Yes,
for
sir.
everybody who is watching right now, and they might not seen all the other videos that you and I have done in the past,
Sure.
give us a little bit about yourself because it is important that the people who are watching this video, they see who is our managing attorney, who is the guy, who is the guy who help us guide this ship.
Yes, yes. Well, first and foremost, we are fortunate enough to have 20 plus lawyers at all of our offices. So we are there to help you at any time, any place. Uh, Unlike other places where you go, you will actually go see an immigration lawyer. Somebody's going to tell you about immigration law. Not only that, we have a support system within all the lawyers. We have over 100 years of experience. So what we can do is if somebody comes in and basically comes up with what they think is a new concept or new idea, that sometimes something like this can only happen to me, nobody else. No, we have seen it. Just a pretty good, we have seen it. And we are able to collaborate and come with all of that. So that's a good thing that we have all these lawyers. I have the privilege of managing all of our lawyers. I have been doing immigration law now going into 21 years.
What? You're
I,
only 25.
I look young, but yeah. So 21 years. I have been doing immigration law for the most part of it. I started out doing civil rights work with Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, and thereafter I worked with refugees, asylees, victims of domestic violence, victims of trafficking with International Rescue Committee. And I am a board certified immigration lawyer. There's a small number of lawyers here in Texas who are board certified. You have to get additional education and you have to pass different tests. So I've been board certified for more than a decade now. And I've had the honor and privilege of working here with Haim now going into 16 years. So I've seen it all. So many of our old clients who used to go to our Maple office, they will remember me from there. I remember when it was just Haim and I going to court and immigration. Now we are blessed to have this many people, thanks to all of our viewers and all of our clients who have supported us for the more than 20 years of doing this. So thank you very much.
All right, and with that, let's send a couple messages because we have people already watching us. So Monica Adriano, great information. Thank you. Thank you. Aisha Jimenez, clapping your hands. We have somebody watching us from Nogales, Sonora.
Wow.
And Liliana Jaco saying, "Cubo, buenas tardes. Hello, good afternoon." So, Abogado Hussein, before we get into the questions, before we get into the topics, let's just answer a couple questions because we have some good questions right now. And then we will have a question and then we will talk about a topic. So one of the good questions that we have, and we encounter this a lot, me as a former prosecutor, I get to see many of these cases, but we have a question here that deals with going through the process of the green card and having been arrested for public intoxication. So let's just talk about this crime in particular, public intoxication, and if you are applying for your green card, if you're in the process of adjustment of status, and then let's just talk a little bit more broader about what happens with crimes and immigration, why we have to be very careful about it.
Right. So public intoxication, for the most part, in most jurisdictions, is a citation. You get a ticket, you pay the ticket. For most parts, it should not impact your green card. However, we always say should not because we got to be really cautious. Remember, for immigration purposes, it's not always one crime. You have to look at your entire history.
Yes.
Okay. Which means if you had additional crimes, additional things going on, it may impact your case. So if you go to a lawyer and they say, "Hey, don't worry about it."
So if I don't tell the attorney, that means that it doesn't exist. Is that true?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go with that. Okay. And here's the thing. Not only that it does exist, remember, it exists more for immigration. And let me explain to you what that means. A lot of the lawyers that you'll go to will say, "Hey, I can expunge your record." That means you get convicted of something, but I will file these documentation. That means tomorrow, if your employer is looking under your name to see if you did something wrong, they're not going to find anything. Well, yeah, that's the employer. Doesn't work the same way with immigration. You go to immigration, the first thing immigration is going to do is do your biometrics, fingerprints. Immediately, they will know if you were arrested. Second, they do a background check with your name, with your date of birth. They will find out that you are arrested. Here's the situation. If you are arrested, whether you gave a false name or whatever the case may be, your fingerprints are not going to lie. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Second thing to keep in mind is expungement does not work for immigration purposes. So if you have a lawyer who says, "Look, pay me $1,000, I'll make it go away," it doesn't work this way. So in this particular case, when you have public intoxication charge, usually for the most part, paying the ticket, but making sure that you have that documentation that you paid the ticket, and also to make sure that it is what it is, public intoxication. Haim and I've seen a lot of cases where the lawyer will tell you, "Oh, it's just something, just pay it, don't worry about it."
Yeah. Or take this plea. They're doing you a favor. Go ahead and it's good. You're gonna be guilty, but then you can expunge it, but just take it, because
Right.
we hear sometimes that criminal attorneys might not want to go to trial or fight for the case, and take an easy plea might be an easy way out for
Right.
the criminal world, but not in immigration.
Exactly. So not only for public intoxication, first and foremost, keep all your records. Get the information, know exactly what happened, and keep the records of your paying the fees and everything else. Okay. Second thing with that is, before you agree any plea agreement, let's just take away this public intoxication. Let's say if it's DWI, whatever it is, before you take any plea agreement, the Supreme Court a few years ago made a decision that says that any lawyer must advise you of the consequence of your immigration situation. So if your lawyer tells you, hey, don't worry about your immigration stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it does impact your immigration stuff, they have not done you justice. Okay.
Yep.
So what I would do is, if you have any sort of criminal issues, whether it happened today, whether it happened, because Haim, we have clients who will tell you, oh yeah, it happened, but it happened in another city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened too long ago. That they told me that's gonna go away in 10 years.
Yeah, now it'll go away, but it's so old they're not gonna find it, or they will find it. We have situations where I have seen cases, unfortunately I'm old enough to remember that, where the client came in, we're applying for citizenship, and he says, yeah, I was arrested in 1972.
Yeah.
Even the town probably doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And they found it, and they say, show to us what happened. So you gotta be
very
really careful.
important, as you mentioned, very important. Any kind of criminal history you have, or any kind of criminal interaction you have with a police officer, whether it's now or it happened in the past, talk to an attorney, talk to an immigration attorney.
Right.
Sometimes in our field we call it the crimigration. Have a criminal analysis to see if the immigration laws will be affected by that criminal sentence, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I had a case yesterday, for example, where the client came in, his criminal lawyer sent him to us to say, hey, can you please review, the district attorney is offering us this plea bargain. Is this going to impact his immigration status? Will he be able to, not now, but down the road, when his wife, who's a US citizen, can sponsor him, will it impact him then? And we have to do the analysis. Now, the challenge with that is we have to get all the documents. We have to make sure that we review them based on the law that is in existence right now. So what we do is we review the law, and we advise the criminal lawyer saying, hey, look, don't take this plea. This may impact this individual down the road, or take that plea. This may be good for him or her, and then we move forward from them. So to answer your questions, it's most likely that this public intoxication charge will not affect your green card. But again, we'll have to review all the documents to make sure there's nothing else in the history. You have to review your green card application also.
All right, perfect. So one of the topics that I want to talk today, and let's go ahead and do this very briefly so we can continue with the questions. Not because it's not important, but we have been talking about this a lot. It's immigration fees, Hussein. Immigration fees are going up.
Yes, yes. Well, good news and bad news. Good news is they're going up, but for the most part, they're not going up by that much, right? $25 here and there, which is still a lot for a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is, this is something I think we can manage. The problem is there's certain areas where immigration fees are going up substantially. And that's why we're coming out, Haim has talked about this, Priscilla, Haim, you have talked about it in different podcasts. One of our big challenge is citizenship. The application fees for citizenship are going to go literally double. They're going to go twice as much as you're paying now. And the fees are going to go into effect October the 2nd. So if you qualify to apply for citizenship, and we can review that for you, for citizenship, for naturalization, apply now. Do not wait. Apply right away. Second thing with that is, Haim, we have seen this quite in our lifetime, where the clients come in, I'm not too sure about my English language. Maybe I'll wait till I can take the test in Spanish. Well, first and foremost, you don't know if the law is going to remain the same when you're ready.
We already know that the test is changing.
Right.
Trump already created a committee to review the test, to review the standard, and to make it more difficult. So not even they're going to make it difficult for you to pay, but they're going to make it difficult for you to take.
Exactly. So the key here is this. Even if you are right in the middle of the cusp and saying, look, my English is okay, I can understand, but I'm not too sure, try it. Take it. You have no idea. I'll give my own example. My mother God rest her soul, would tell me, look, I'm not going to pass this. And she could only say hello and thank you. And she understood a little bit because she learned it when back home when she was in school. But she would not be able to carry a conversation with anybody in English. Guess what? She passed the test.
Yeah.
She got her.
I have one story like that too.
Yeah, we all. And you have not seen the joy in her face. But I'll tell you the other thing. She did not pass it the first time. She failed it. She didn't pass it. Well, this is a process with immigration. If you fail the English part, they automatically, free of charge, give you a second test.
Yep.
Within the next 6 months. So you get another shot at the apple. And so my mom was so upset because my dad passed it the first time. She
went down and studied everything.
And she said that I will get 10 out of 10 in that test. And as you know, the way the law works is you have to get 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
She got 6 out of 10. And the officer says, congratulations. She's like, no.
Please
it doesn't stop right there. I got to be dad. So I got to go 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So she made him ask him 4 other questions. But the question.
Big message. So become a citizen. Become a citizen because it's going to go up and it's going to be more difficult. Now, Hussein, another brief update. Give me an update on DACA TPS. Give me a brief update on that.
Okay. So DACA. I know a lot of you heard about this. There was a Supreme Court decision. Then there was the court in Maryland. We talk about that. That said that initial DACA will be accepted. Then USCIS came up with a memo that says that they will only give DACA renewals for 1 year and that they will use a new standard, make it more difficult for people to get advanced parole. Well, a couple of days ago, what has happened is there was a court in New York that stated that they are willing to look at that decision by USCIS to limit this DACA thing, and also to look at the fact that if USCIS truly abided by the Supreme Court decision. What does that mean? That's good news, by the way. The reason this is good news is because that court has the ability to issue an injunction and force USCIS to go ahead and file. What that means is you may be able, you still don't give up hope on new initial DACAs. Keep your paperwork ready. You may hear it very soon that there may be an injunction, and you may have a very short window to go ahead and file the initial deferred action applications. So that's good news. It just happened very recently. We are following it closely. So that's one thing. The second thing with that is we still are able to apply for advanced parole. So as you know, both DACA and TPS allows individuals to seek advanced parole to leave the country lawfully, visit family, friends, and come back to the United States if there is an urgent reason, an emergent reason. We have been following a lot of situations where our clients who have requested that because a family member was sick, somebody passed away, to attend funerals and so forth. And we have seen approvals of those deferred action advanced paroles. So if you have TPS, if you have DACA, and you have a reason to travel outside the United States, family member is sick, somebody passed away, things like that, medical reasons or some other urgent reasons, you can still apply for those advanced parole. And we are seeing approval of those coming in pretty quickly.
Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is that we have a couple more topics to discuss.
Sure.
But what we're going to do is what usually we do in the Spanish version of these videos. We do the lightning round.
Let's do it.
I'm going to ask you the question, and I need a brief, direct answer to these questions because we have some questions that are piling up. So first question, I'm going to read it and take it out so we can see each other's faces. But
okay.
Attorney, I'm applying for the Visa U or U visa. I've been asked to submit a new certification. My date is already coming up. So meaning that right now immigration is working on the 2015. So it looks like the 2015 is already up for her. But USCIS is requesting a new certification. Hussein, this is something that we're seeing now that is happening more than before. So what kind of piece of advice we can give?
Well, we're seeing a lot of those. Yeah, we are seeing a lot of those certifications. Now, what has to happen, just for you to know, is immigration changes criteria just a few months ago, in which if the certification that you have filed has blanks on it, or it has expired by the time you filed, then they have the right to request a new certification. So in that situation, what we usually do recommend is you go ahead and try to get a new certification, file it. That, if you file it, may not impact your date. That means it's not going to start all over again because they're asking for new certification, right? But it may be something as simple. Now, I want to be really careful with this to answer that question, is make sure you know exactly what they're asking in that certification. It may be simply that they want a new certification and just a couple of blanks to be filled out, that may be easier for police department to do.
Perfect, perfect. So we have another question. Carla asks, attorney, what can I do if USCIS deny me my advance parole because of an emergency? Are they violating the laws? Can I have an excuse? What can I do if they deny my advance parole and they're not willing to take my emergency permit?
Okay, so there are two ways to do it. Yeah, so there are two ways to do emergency permit. One is what we do is we prepare the packet. You can go to immigration USCIS directly and urge them to give you on the spot an appointment to go ahead and get this emergency visa, advance parole, sorry. If that is not there, you can always mail it in and ask them to expedite it. So there are two things to look at it. Number one, you're asking for an emergency advance parole. That means I need it now this very second. Officer can make a determination that what the emergency you're saying is not urgent enough to give your advance parole at this very moment. But you can mail it, request it, and you can get it because that will come a few weeks later. So that's one option. Second, just because your advance parole has been denied doesn't mean you cannot reapply. We have had cases when the clients have come in, their advance parole was denied. We add more documentation, more paperwork to it, provide additional information to the officer, and try again, and they get it. So just because they've denied doesn't mean you cannot apply again. Do not give up. Make sure your case is strong, though. You have to convince the officer that you need it right now. Okay.
Perfect, perfect. So we have another question, and we're doing good. We're doing good. My cousin entered the United States. My cousin returned to her country with a tourist visa, and she went. She wants to try to come back to visit her husband for Christmas. I think her question is, how often can a person with a tourist visa come to the U.S., Hussein?
Okay, so that all depends. It's not the issue of just can I come in or not, because usually what USCIS does, it gives you multiple year visa. Usually it's a 10-year visa. You come in, if you come in for a week or two and then you leave and then try to come back again, that's fine. A lot of people do that. But what immigration sees is a repetition of it. If you're coming back every month, then they're going to say, wait, are you really living here or are you living over there? Okay. So there's no specific timeline. They cannot say, oh, well, you came in, 6 months ago, so you cannot come back for another 6 months. However, they can look at your progression of how many times you have come through this. So you come in, you leave, and then you come back the next year or 6 months from now, you should be able to come in. The other thing that's in there is governments fear that you're coming in here to the United States and you may stay. So if you tell them, hey, I have a husband who lives here, immigration officer can look at it and say, hey, look, wait a second. Are you really going to come here and leave? Do you have any documentation showing that you'll actually leave? So be very careful with that.
All right. So we have another question very briefly, Hussein, because this one we have talked a lot about in the past is people who are applying for DACA and it's taking too long to get those permits. We're seeing the same delay with other types of permits when we're dealing with work permits. So what's going on with that? Is there a delay? What can we expect?
Well, there is a delay. I think, Haim, you did a good job last time when we talked and showing to immigration that there are two things that have happened. First, three things. COVID. So a lot of the officers are working from home. So everything is being delayed. Second, there's been layoffs. As you know, immigration is kind of going broke. So a lot of people have been laid off. So all of those things are being delayed. The third thing that I think you showed is there were actually issues with the post office where some of these green cards were lost. There was one person that was indicted because they were throwing away the green cards, things of that nature. So that same thing happened with work permits, a lot of those things. So in your situation, if your case is taking too long, first, make sure you get the case evaluated to ensure that you submitted all the paperwork, that immigration got it. We see on a daily basis where they send it to the wrong place and 3 months later, immigration will send it back saying you sent it to the wrong address.
Yes. So you're saying we get a question in English, so I'm going to give you the chance now. You can read a question to me.
Okay, the question is about a J1 hardship waiver. My case is on hold due to USCIS requesting an advisory opinion from a non-USCIS agency. What does that mean?
Okay, perfect. So the J1 visa is a great visa that allows many people throughout the world to come to the U.S. To work in different kind of jobs. There are specific jobs allowed through the J1 program. Some programs deal with the government where you're coming with a government grant whether it's with medicine or it's with education. Some of them, we've seen a lot of teachers who have been brought with the J1. We've seen au pairs, people who come to work here in the US. Now, the J1, Hussein, as we know, has a restriction. This restriction can be imposed or cannot be imposed. Some people do not get the 2-year requirement that you have to go back to your country before you can come back with a change of a status visa. So what happens is that if you have the restriction there, you apply for this hardship waiver or you apply for a waiver. In this case, the application for a hardship waiver is being reviewed. And what happens is that immigration takes that waiver and takes it to the review agency of waivers. Basically, there is an office in the Department of State called the Waiver Review Division. And they're going to review your waiver to see on whether or not they're going to make a determination to waive those 2 years, and then you can move forward with your case. There is a delay, yes, because there is an extra step that the government is taking, but if everything plays well, you get that approved and you can move forward with your case.
Yeah. Haim, just want to add one more thing to it here. Usually what the other way, I mean, you talk about a hardship waiver, but you have a situation where people may not file. I've seen that quite a bit on the J1s, where you can get a no objection letter.
Yes.
From your country of origin. So let's say you're from Spain and you want to ask the government, hey, look, I want to stay here. Can you just waive the 2-year requirement? And sometimes the case goes there. So I'm assuming this is a hardship letter, but usually for our client to understand, usually these things are going to happen simultaneously. The minute the other organization, which is State Department, will issue advisory opinion, boom, your waiver is going to get adjudicated around the same time. So just expect it to happen around the same time.
All right, perfect. So we got a chance to talk about another topic, Hussein. And the topic that we're talking is USCIS and the Mexican consulate and consulates around the US. US consulates around the world. And when are they opening? So we already got information that Ciudad Juarez is opening.
Yes.
We know that certain consulates in the world are opening, and some of them for emergency appointments, so you can contact the consulate. But tell me a little bit about the appointments here in the US.
So, well, the good thing here is from our USCIS side, we at our office are already getting appointments. We already have interviews lined up. We have we have already gone to interviews for green card applications and also citizenship. They're actually doing citizenship, literally like standing up right in the middle of the office and saying, just oath here, citizenship.
Yeah, they don't even take you inside or anything, just right in the hallway.
Yes. So, but here's the thing that we got to be really careful with. Given the current COVID situation, we have seen other offices, not here in Dallas, but other places where they're open one day and then, boom, they're closed the next day. So the good news here is the cycle is starting back again. You're seeing interviews, people are coming in. We are getting fingerprint appointments now. People are going to start seeing those. And this thing is beginning to roll out. So important thing to remember, you hear a lot of things on the news. Immigration is not closed.
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity to apply for your green card, for your citizenship, for anything else, apply today. Apply now. They are still doing the work. And even if they are not doing it at immigration office, a lot of the paperwork here, it's going to get done by somebody sitting at their home. But apply now. Don't give up on that. But expect this paperwork route to get started again. So you're going to start getting your interview notice, your things like oath ceremonies and things like we are seeing those getting starting again.
Well, Hussein, in any given day, that would have been a great piece of advice to conclude, but I'm going to hold you to it. I want you to give some kind of advice to the people. We are right now in the midst of elections.
Right.
We're in the midst of changes in immigration. As immigration attorneys, we don't have an easy week. Every week there's changes, whether it's DACA, public charge, Trump and the border, denial of visas, closure of consulates. So what kind of advice we can give to the people who are worried about the elections, who are worried about the possibility of another 4 years of Trump or a hopeful change to Biden with a better policy with regards to immigration?
Well, we don't want to be political here. We're not going to tell you who to vote for, vote Biden. But what I want people to understand is that last election, President Trump won the election by 75,000 votes in 3 states. Those 3 states, 75,000 people voted against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes.
3
but
million
electoral
votes.
college makes a difference. Why does that mean? It's really important for us to go out and vote. If you're eligible to vote, go out and vote. If your parents are eligible to vote, take them out to vote. Vote early. Vote by mail, whatever you can do it. Because immigration, for our purposes, immigrants, election has consequences. Okay? That means we want to make sure that your voice is at least heard. Understand what you're signing up for. What's going to be the 4 more years? Because as all of you know, and Haim, you and I've talked about it, anytime there's bad news for President Trump, the only target that he sees immediately are the immigrants. And something bad is coming down the road.
Yeah.
And every day it's new. Every day it's anxiety, especially for
we need
DACA kids.
We already saw the government office, which is the watchdog office, meaning the office that reviews the GAO, the Government Accountability Office. They already determined that the person who is running the Department of Homeland Security
Chad Wolf.
is illegally appointed, and the guy who is his deputy is illegally appointed.
Right.
So this is not about being political or one party or the other one. This is about being just. The guy who is making the decisions about the government, the guy who told you that DACA only can be a year EAD or a work card, he is not supposed to be doing that job.
Yeah. You are absolutely correct. That is correct. So at the end of the day, I think we all have our models that we look up to, like John Lewis and so forth. And as John Lewis said, if you can run to the election office, run. Yeah. If you can't run, walk. Yeah. If you can't walk, crawl. But go there and vote and take the next step. Take your tia who's U.S. citizen. Take your cousin who is a U.S. citizen. Your parents, your grandparents, and go there, vote, and make sure that change is coming, and make sure you at least make your voice heard.
Well, Hussein, thank you very much for sharing some time this afternoon with us. I know we got a fantastic array of questions. We talk about a lot of different topics, and we're going to continue doing these and doing it often. So hopefully we can do a series where we can continue with these programs. Now, if everybody who is watching, please like the program, comment on it, put a like on it. And if you have a topic, something in particular that you want Hussein to address, send me an email, Vasquez@JaimeBarron.com or info@JaimeBarron.com. And you can send us a message. You can let us know what you want us to discuss. Again, info@JaimeBarron.com, and we can talk about it, Hussein.
Thank you. I would love to talk about it.
Are you willing to do it?
I'm excited. Let's do this.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again to Hussein, our senior managing attorney, the guy who steers the ship, keep us in check. So we are not doing, we're not jumping around the desk or anything in the office now. All in good heart. Hussein, again, thank you very much. Thank you for answering all the questions for our viewers. Take care and have a great afternoon.
Take care, guys.